Pull.
Whether you're new on the range or a longtime sportsman, you'll find great deals on guns, ammo, equipment, and more this week at Cabela's. Save big on all your favorite brands like Winchester, Benelli, Hornaday, and more. Get 20% off all Walker's hearing protection and $400 off of Cabela's Signature 64 safe. Plus, join us for free safety education, training, demos, and seminars because responsible ownership starts at Cabela's. Stop in and save all week at Cabela's, and remember to own responsibly.
Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning and welcome to the Parenting Aces radio show on Blog Talk Radio's UR Tennis Network. I'm your host, Lisa Stone, and today we have two young men, young athletes, young sportsmen, young sports fans joining us on the show, and I'm really excited to bring them on and hear from them because they're doing something pretty cool for two young guys. They have started their own sports podcast. It is called Arguably Georgia Sports, and it's available on YouTube, and I'll let them talk more about that when they come on. But before I bring on our two young men, Cannon and Kai, I want to just mention a couple things. First of all, the girls 12 national hard courts are going on here in Atlanta this week, and we are so lucky to have Craig Signorelli covering the event for ParentingAces.com. And for those of you who have been reading Parenting Aces for a while, you'll all know my feeling about Craig and what an incredible coach he is. He recently relocated from Malibu to Alpharetta, Georgia, and is now director of tennis for the Windward Lake Club out in Alpharetta, which is the host for the girls 12. And offered to report on the event for us, and so I'm just so grateful to him for that. So we have the first two installments up on ParentingAces.com. I hope you'll check those out. And the second thing is that the entry deadline is coming up very quickly for the Saul Schwartz Save College Tennis All-In Tournament in Baltimore, which is happening August 20th and 21st. I cannot believe it is right around the corner. The deadline is August 14th to enter. And let me just say that we have a $30 entry fee. You are guaranteed 4 matches. The winners of each of the girls and boys draws are going to receive an equipment and clothing sponsorship from Wilson Tennis that is unbelievable. It includes rackets, bags, shoes, clothing, strings, grips. I mean, it's amazing. The runners-up are getting $50 gift cards from Hullabird Sports, who is our presenting sponsor for the tournament, also amazing. And every player in the tournament is getting a goodie bag filled with all sorts of great stuff, including gift cards from Hullabird. We'll be providing lunch and drinks both days of the tournament, and it's just going to be an all-around great event. UTR is a sponsor, and though the tournament is not USTA sanctioned, it will count toward your UTR. So there is every reason to sign up for this great event. Again, $30, 4 matches guaranteed, Wilson sponsorship on the line for the winners. So please go ahead and get signed up. The link to register for the Saul is front and center on our Facebook page. It is at the top of the sidebar on our website at ParentingAces.com. So, and also, if you can't find it either of those places, you can always call or email me, and I'll be happy to shoot it over to you in a text or an email. So please, please, please get signed up. The deadline is approaching, and we've got all sorts of cool stuff for the players happening that weekend, and hope to see you there. I am going to be heading up to Baltimore on the Friday before the tournament, so next Friday, again, hope to see you there. So, all right. All that is check, 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 all my things on my list I wanted to get out today. And so now let me bring my guests on the line and give you a quick introduction. Cannon, Gilbert, and Kai Millette are two young athletes that live here in Atlanta. Cannon's dad actually reached out to me several months ago to just kind of meet and chat about Cannon's tennis and what kinds of things they should be looking to do. And as things went. We stayed in touch, and we actually ended up seeing each other again at the BB&T Atlanta Open this past week, which was so much fun. And I got to meet Cannon, and I got to meet Cannon's mom and Cannon's sister. And we just started chatting and realized that I needed to get Cannon and Kai on this show to talk about what they're doing, because it's not often that you see kids of their age that are taking an interest in sports and taking that interest beyond just watching on TV or following stats, but also creating a forum to talk about sports and share their insights. So I think it's really cool. So that said, let me bring Cannon and Kai on the air with us. Guys, good morning. Thank you so much for being on the Parenting Aces radio show. And I love what you guys are doing with arguably Georgia sports. I got to listen to your first 3 episodes, and you guys are doing a phenomenal job. Congratulations.
Good morning, Lisa. Thank you for letting us be on your show. We started this show because we were always arguing. We have opposing teams that we like, and they're really rivaled. So we're always arguing about them, and so that's pretty much the origin of the show. And so far we've only done football, but later we're hoping to incorporate tennis and basketball and baseball and maybe a few others.
Very cool.
So we had this idea because, like you said, we argue a lot, and we are like obsessed about making money too. So we wanted to do what we like and do what we're good at and make money at the same time. We haven't made anything yet, but in the future. And so we're having a lot of fun with it, and I hope it gets bigger.
Well, that's very cool. The Olympics should provide some good stuff for y'all to discuss on the show. There's lots of sports. Are you planning to do an Olympics show?
Actually, yes. Hopefully, especially
Awesome.
Olympic tennis. We've both been following pretty closely.
It's been pretty crazy.
With Serena going down.
Not to mention
Djokovic going out, with Venus going out, with Serena and Venus going out in doubles. Djokovic is now out in doubles too. I mean, it's crazy.
That gives a lot of smaller players good opportunities for the gold.
Yep.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I for one, am a big Rafa Nadal fan, so I'm kind of pulling for him. I shouldn't say that, I guess, since we still have Americans in the draw too, though, huh? So you guys, share with us what your own participation in sports is like. What sports do you play? Which ones do you play, really competitively? Which ones are more just for fun?
Well, I play just almost everything. I played a lot of baseball, not really anymore. I'm a big basketball. My 2 best sports, I'd say, is basketball and soccer. I play flag football for fun and tennis for fun sometimes too. They're not my biggest sports, but basketball and soccer definitely big for me.
I do.
Go ahead.
I do a mix of flag football for fun, and I also do a lot of tennis.
Got it. And so do you think that playing all the different sports helps you be better in each of them? Like, are there skills that you learn from flag football that you can apply to basketball or tennis?
Yeah, I definitely think so, because in, football, if you're running the ball, then you have to change directions a lot depending on where the people are, and that applies to tennis and basketball and soccer too, as a matter of fact. So there are several skills that cross over in sports.
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys dealt with any injuries from all your sports participation?
Nothing serious.
Yeah, I've only had a sprained ankle once, but nothing really, nothing serious.
And what grade are you guys in?
We are both entering 7th.
Awesome. Middle school, wow. And so you're both homeschooled, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, that is correct.
But it's not because you're devoting more time to your sport, per se. It's more just from an educational standpoint.
Yeah, I've actually been homeschooled my whole life, and that actually helps a lot with this. Because for this, we're going to need to have a lot more time together, and it'll take up some good time. So it'll help that we're pretty flexible.
Yeah, just really just having more time, I guess. Not having to worry about getting on and off the bus. We get to sleep in a bit later, as long as we get it done, which we do. So, yeah, we have more time to do this.
And so you said your goal with the show is eventually, hopefully, to earn some money with it. How do you plan to do that? What are the steps that you're taking to make that happen?
Well, just
I might steal your ideas, by the way.
Well, just like on YouTube, when someone watches an ad when someone watches an ad for a full 30 seconds without skipping it, and we have to get popular enough for people to put ads on our videos. But when someone does that, something like 2 cents. So eventually, if we get really, really big, which we're not looking at that yet, we're in the moment, but that could help,
And do you think that you'll be able to get some sponsors?
Hopefully in the future.
Possibly, but I think right now we're just looking at it for fun, not for money or sponsors. Or just at the moment, we're just trying to get our stuff out and trying to just do what we like to do.
Did either of you guys have any experience doing this type of talk radio? And I'm doing air quotes right now. You can't see me. Did y'all have any experience with that before you started arguably Georgia Sports?
Maybe a little, because my dad, when we lived in Washington, used to work for a radio company, so he'd go on the air sometimes. But that's about it.
Not directly for either of us, really.
And, I mean, have y'all done plays or performed in any way? Because you guys are both really poised on the air.
Well, I mean, we've done those podcasts, but we really haven't done anything else. I haven't done any performances.
So it just comes natural, huh?
Mm-hmm. He's doing one this year, I believe.
Yeah.
Cool.
But,
so are you guys looking to start having guests on your show? Do you think any of, I think it's Cannon that's the Georgia fan and Kai that's the Georgia Tech fan. Do I have that straight?
Yes.
Yes, we are looking at guests. He has a lot of connections. I have some connections, I know a former Georgia Tech lineman. We're hoping to have him on the show sometime soon, and I think he has some people in line too.
Well, I have an in for y'all with the tennis coaches. If you're interested, you'll have to hit me up for that.
Okay.
There's some really cool players at both of the schools. I think that would be a fun thing, especially during the season. The season starts in January, like the big season, the dual match season. So that could be really fun.
Yeah, it would be.
And do y'all have any plans to, record your podcast maybe during some of the sports events around town?
Well, we were hoping to do a game day show for football on Saturdays. Maybe, possibly, some live commentating on different sports. I don't know as of now, though.
No, we were thinking about doing not this year, it's too late, but later, a few years from now, maybe a live stream at a Atlanta Falcons training camp, something like that. I think that would
cool.
help. Mm-hmm.
Maybe include some Periscope or live Facebook or something.
Yeah. That would be cool. YouTube has some
that would
streaming
be cool.
stuff for now. So.
That would be awesome. So, again, your goal, you guys are, 12, 13 years old? You're in 7th grade? So,
yes.
long term, are you thinking that you would like to have a career in sports broadcasting? I mean, are y'all thinking about that yet? I know you're young to have to worry about anything long term, but just wondering, if that's in the plans.
That's very possible, actually. I think this would help for that if we were planning on doing that.
This is not our first. This is not like what we want to do in order to completely, but it's definitely
an option.
An option, yeah. And well, we have dreams and stuff, but I mean, if those don't work out, this is a very possible option.
Is playing a sport part of that dream?
Yes, it could be.
So can you take us through just a typical day in the life with you guys, with the homeschool and preparing for arguably Georgia sports, and what that looks like? So you said you both get to sleep in a little bit, and then does school start once you get up in the morning, or how does that work?
Yes, so pretty much when I wake up, I go, sometimes don't eat breakfast until I finish school, but so I go out at around 7 o'clock, and then I do my school, finish by around noon, and then I see him about every other day, every third day, and then I have tennis starting at 5:30 to 7:30, and then I come home and eat dinner, and then I go to bed after I read for a while.
Yes, so what I do, I wake up at 7:30, eat a small breakfast, sometimes just like a shake or something. Then I'll start on school, do school to have a lunch break around like noon to 1, and then do school the rest of the day until like 3, and I'll have like activities starting around 3, so stuff like that.
What type of activities?
I am on a Lego robotics competition team. I'm actually wearing my shirt right now. Yeah, so that's
very
what's
cool.
fun. I do it every Monday from like 3 to 5.
Mhm.
And it's nice because when you're homeschooled, you can also take some outside classes for school. Like I'm having science at noon on Mondays, and then I have homework for the rest of the week, and I have also drama in the afternoon, the same place, and so I just have more time to do activities, and even then we have a lot of free time, and this is part of what we do in our free time.
Mm-hmm.
So you said you'll see each other about every other day. How many hours a week would you say you spend preparing for your podcast?
Preparing or actually recording?
Well, we probably do around maybe 3 or 4, because it probably takes around an hour and a half to get a 40-minute podcast done, just to set it all up and get everything right, and then for the editing to load. The editing itself doesn't take long, but just the loading.
Right.
So probably an hour and a half per show.
And talk about how y'all actually do your podcast. Are y'all together? Do you have like a whole podcast setup with a mic and studio and all that?
Yeah,
or
we
how does that work?
We both have headset mics that we use. So we'll bring down like 2 computers, one for recording, one for information. We have like our little stack.
And so we do that, and then after we do it on my computer, use the voice recordings, then I go onto Windows Live Movie Maker, edit it, upload it, and then it's out there.
Very cool. How do you decide what you're going to talk about in your podcast? What are the conversations like ahead of time so that y'all are on the same page? Because, like, for me, it's just me as the host, so whatever I want to do, I do. You know, I've got free reign, but when there are 2 of you, you have to be on the same page with that.
Well, so far, a while ago, we planned our first 4 podcasts. We had 3 of them done. And then we're going to start with other things, but really we are whatever happens, unless something goes terribly wrong, then we have to cut the video.
Since it's not live, since we don't know, it's not just a one-shot thing, we can, if we mess it up awfully, then we can just do it again, and it's not that big of a delay. So really, we normally do it right, but occasionally, near the beginning, we mess up, and then we can just start it over.
And what about, like, the topics that you're going to discuss? Do y'all talk about that and settle on it ahead, or you just kind of let it go? You do.
Well, yeah, before we already plan what we're going to talk about, and because we already have it all planned out, so so far we've only done previews since it's not football season yet, and it's not really anything season yet, unless we do the Olympics. So right now we're just doing preseason stuff, and so we're just doing predictions for football, mostly Southern football. So as of now, we haven't really had very much question on what we're going to talk about. We have a few of our next ones planned out.
We are actually going to have a guest in our next video. One of our insiders, as we call them. It's going to be on. You'll see that he was partly in our last video.
Oh, one of your friends that's joining you?
Yes. We have several people. We have one that's really good on the Falcons. So Ty and him are going to do a video on the Falcons. So just stuff like that. We can get other people who are especially knowledgeable in certain places. It helps out with just making it easier. So we already have the topic all planned out.
What's your target audience? I mean, who do you hope listens to your podcast?
Anyone, really.
People of all ages, yeah. Probably mostly Southern people, because that's what we're really doing right now. I kind of doubt we're going to get any people from up north, many people, or at least. So yeah, that's our subject. I wouldn't say we're targeting everyone, but that's who's likely going to listen.
And what are y'all doing to promote it? How are you getting the word out, besides doing things like the Parenting Aces radio show?
We do want to reach out to some sponsors. We don't really have any idea yet. We're also wanting to launch a website. We've started working on that some social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter,
Are y'all on social media yet as arguably Georgia Sports? Do y'all have that set up?
Yes, we are.
Yeah, not right now.
We hope to very soon, though.
We
still want to get off the ground a little before we start that.
Got it. And what's your website going to have on it?
Sporting news, really, and and our news, and hopefully like just what we said, it's going to promote our YouTube podcast.
Probably just to keep people up to date. If they don't want to watch the videos, they can just read that really quick and find out what just happened on our sports that we cover.
What makes arguably Georgia Sports unique? There are lots of sports websites and podcasts and things out there. What sets y'all apart, do you think?
Us being at the age we are, really.
There's not really that out at the moment. So
and hopefully just being better.
We're hoping to have good quality, and that'll set us apart. If we have good quality at the age we are, then hopefully later we can do even better.
And do you think you guys will continue to homeschool all the way through, like through 12th grade, or do you have plans to go to a brick-and-mortar school for high school, or have you thought about that yet?
I think I'm planning. I'm supposed to homeschool all the way until college.
Yeah, I want to do that too. I think we're both going to homeschool through college, high school, and just because a transition at this point would be hard since we're both, I think, a grade ahead. It would be a hard transition if we could get into our grades, but if we couldn't, then there'd be a lot of wasted time, and I just don't think it would be worth it. So I think we're both gonna stay homeschooled through high school and until college.
Mm-hmm. And do your parents help you with your homeschool, or do you go somewhere, in a group setting? I mean, I know, Cannon, I think it was you who said that you go somewhere else for science and for drama. Are the rest of the subjects things that your mom and dad help with?
Yeah, I mostly just do my work at home, and it's most of the time I can do it on my own. I don't need help, but occasionally I'll have something that I don't understand, and then I'll ask my parents. But most of the time I can just do it myself at home. Yeah, I'm supposed to once I get to like 8th grade next year to start some out of home classes, but still be homeschooled, like my older sister does. So yeah, just a bunch of like maybe history, literature, but I'll do like the basics, math, language arts at home still.
Got it. And Cannon, I wanted to ask you, I know you train for tennis in the afternoons, and where you train, there's a group of kids that does homeschool for tennis specifically. Do you ever talk with them and compare what you're doing in school with what they're doing in school?
Well, yeah, it's a little different because with them, they're doing their school at the academy, while I'm doing it at home. It does give me more time to do tennis. I may have some other private lessons when other people couldn't do them, but I'm not doing it mainly for tennis. Their schedule is different. They do have actual classes. They're mostly online to make it easier for them. That's the main difference. They do it all online and at the academy. And so they can be more flexible.
So your homeschool is not through an online program. It's actual, your mom and dad are your teachers?
I do a mix of things. I do some online and I do some everything. I don't do one curriculum. I do several online classes, but I also have lots of them in the books.
I am taking an online math class next year, though.
I know there are so many different online programs. I mean, my son did homeschool for a year and a half through an online program, but it was through like the Georgia Public Schools, which was pretty cool, and made it a lot easier for me because I'm not a teacher, so that wouldn't have been a good situation. But I'm always really fascinated by like students like you guys who are, your parents are having to figure out what you're supposed to be learning and how to keep you up with your grade. And it sounds like you said you're both a grade ahead of your peers. Does that mean
not me?
Not you.
He.
Does it mean that you're trying to graduate high school early? Would there be a reason to try to graduate high school early, or do you want to graduate with your class?
Well, I mean, I probably will, but it just depends on what happens. I'll probably finish a year early. It just, it depends on what happens and if I get behind or if I stay ahead.
Got it. So let's get back to arguably Georgia sports. I want to talk more about your podcast, and again, for my listeners, it's available on YouTube. If you just search arguably Georgia sports, it'll come right up, and you can listen to the first 3 episodes that are online. So where do you guys get your information? Do y'all do research online? Do you have people that you can call up? Or, you guys both have really strong opinions that you express during your podcast, and I'm just wondering how you formulate those opinions.
Oh, yeah. One of the biggest things we use is Phil Steele's College Football 2016 magazine that we've been using. It's a huge magazine, like 352 pages. It has information on every single Division I team, schedules, rosters, coaches, previous schedules, all that nerdy stuff. So we use that, and we also do some online. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's an actual print magazine that comes to your house?
No, we bought it. It's like $13. I would definitely recommend getting it. If you're starting something like we are, it's very useful.
Where did you get it? Just at the bookstore?
No, just at at a Kroger. They have a little magazine stand. Mm-hmm.
And how did you find out about that magazine? Just by accident, or did somebody tell you about it?
No, it was the top recommended one. It was like leader 18 years in a row, something like that. And so I saw it, and I was like, you know what? Since we're starting this, we should get it. It'll help a lot. Because it's like, who knows who the center is for Tulsa State or whatever, you know?
Cool. All right, Cannon, sorry I cut you off.
Well, yeah, that magazine helps out a lot. But we also have a lot, because he studies a lot of the smaller teams, so that helps out. And I watch a lot of the bigger games, so we both have different styles that we watch. And so with that combining insight, it not only just looking at facts, but also just remembering them for the last time you watched a game.
And are y'all tracking, like, injuries and people who have been sidelined for whatever reason, violations or whatever? Do y'all talk about that stuff and watch that stuff too?
Yeah, that's included in how the team is, how they're expected to be, what the projections are on them, what their lineup is. Those are all factors in how good the team's going to be, whatever sport.
Interesting. And do you think that you guys will actually have an opportunity to talk to coaches maybe as your podcast grows and get more insights that way?
Yeah, I think that's very possible. Yeah, I hope so. We hope that we can grow that big so we can get more player interviews, coach interviews, just those kind of people.
What are your plans for the upcoming football season in terms of actually going to games?
Well, I have season tickets to the Georgia games, and so I'm probably going to go to several. And he may go to several Georgia Tech games. Might go to some other smaller games. But as far as that goes, we'll probably go to a nice amount.
And we can quite possibly go to the UGA Georgia Tech game together, right?
That would be awesome. I think y'all should do a live broadcast from there.
That would be really cool. That's a good idea.
What about high school sports? Do y'all have an interest in covering that too, or really just the college level?
Actually, we live right by Tucker High School, which is quite a good football team.
Basketball team and baseball team, so yeah, we really want to cover them too.
They're pretty good in all sports.
And just their division, really, I guess you could say that'll be part of us. So yeah, we hope to cover them. And it would be easier to get player interviews and stuff like that, because it's college. There's no crazy security. I mean, it's high school.
Right. Yeah, it's much easier with the high school teams for sure. And are you focusing just on boys sports, or do you think you'll expand to cover some of the girls sports as well?
So we could definitely do like a women's tennis, maybe women's World Cup, or things like that. Maybe volleyball, even eventually. Mm-hmm. That'd be a long time in the future, though.
Yeah, in the future. As of now, we're kind of doing on men's sports. There are more people following that. But yeah, well, in the future, we definitely will try to add them.
The nice thing about a sports podcast is there's so much information out there for y'all that I don't think you'll ever run out of things to talk about.
Yeah, since games are always being played and more athletes are always getting better, being recruited, there's kind of an endless amount of subjects.
And there's always the next season to be talked about, so it's good.
That is true. Do either of you feel like you're becoming better sports people in terms of your own playing by following sports like this? I mean, there's so much information out there now, and I know I'm not well-versed in anything other than tennis, and I'm not even that well-versed in tennis, just junior tennis. But I know there's so much information on the Internet now, and a lot of people tend to turn to the Internet for coaching advice and training advice, nutrition, fitness, all those things. And podcasts are part of that online community of information. But do you yourselves use the information to become better athletes? And if you do, how?
I hope so. Just, I guess, studying individual players, seeing what they do well,
seeing what they don't do well too, could definitely help you be a better athlete in many ways.
Can you talk specifically about like what things you would look at and that you could learn from?
Well, like if the sport was football, the quarterback's form. If it was tennis, how high the guy jumps on his serve. There are lots of different things in soccer, how they get the spin on the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And in terms of your own physical activity, because one of the things that happened maybe about 15 years ago, and I know it's before you guys were born, but brick and mortar schools stopped offering PE every day to kids. And so I'm sure y'all have heard plenty about the obesity epidemic in the U.S. and how it affects kids. And I feel like your podcast has the potential to really be a positive influence in getting kids out and being active. Is that something y'all have thought about? And, is it something you want to do or you're interested in at all?
Yeah, like just people being inspired by our podcast and just sports. Like, I want to be like that guy.
If people are
interested,
interested,
go outside, start working out, start playing, they'll realize how fun that is.
Once people get interested in watching sports, then it's just inevitable that you're going to want to start playing, trying to do it, or just get active. Like if there were some kids and they were watching the Super Bowl together at halftime, they'd probably go out, play football, do something like that. I don't know. It's just, I think watching sports helps you feel motivated to play sports.
I hope you're right about that. I think that would be a great thing. So for each of you, I know, Cannon, you have tennis lessons how many days a week? How many days do you go over to Lifetime?
4 or 5.
And Kai, on a day-to-day basis, are you outside playing? Are you, at lessons or at training? What do you do for physical activity every day?
Yeah, I usually go outside. I also do triathlons, so I have to train for that. So I bike a lot, run a lot, swim a lot. So yeah, stuff like that.
And Cannon, you told me you do that too, right?
Yeah, I actually have a triathlon coming up soon next month. So just things I can pretty much play any sport, but I'm not very good at like soccer and basketball, but I can still enjoy playing them just for fun.
You know, it's interesting. During the BB&T Atlanta Open last week, one of the guys who did, well, he won the tournament. I was going to say one of the guys who did really well. He actually won, Nick Kyrgios. He had a day where he wasn't playing, and he and some of the other players, including Georgia Tech's Chris Eubanks, went over to Georgia Tech and played basketball. And Kyrgios said that was one of his favorite parts of the week. He really had so much fun shooting hoops with the guys, and we even asked him about that during the press conference, you know, who's good and who's not good. I mean, it's kind of neat to see these professional athletes embracing other sports, and even though that's not where they're making their living, you know, they still find, like you said, can find a way to enjoy the sport. And I think that's pretty cool, don't you?
Yeah, I think that also, since he may have had a tough match before or after that, so it's a good way to just enjoy yourself and let off some steam, just have a good time, and it'll help you relax and not be as stressed. Or he could have just done it for fun, like he probably did, especially since he was one of the top players, if not the top player in the tournament, just to take some of that pressure off, you know.
Absolutely. I think that'd be a cool thing for, you know, if y'all get to do player interviews during the upcoming seasons, you know, maybe asking the athletes what other sports they like to play to let off steam. I think that would be kind of a cool thing to find out.
Yeah, that would be actually a really good idea. Because, I mean, most athletes, if they play one sport, then they can do other sports well, and they're athletes, you know. They're not specifically for one thing. Like most of the European tennis players grew up and they had a tough decision of whether they wanted to play soccer or tennis, and so they still probably play soccer for fun or basketball.
Just like one of the greatest baseball closers ever, I think the best, Mariano Rivera, was almost a professional soccer player until he had an eye injury and had to quit. So I thought that was kind of
really
cool. He still
That's really interesting. I wonder with the Olympic athletes, too, how many of them, you know, are really good at sports outside of the one they're competing in.
Well, I have heard that the women's swimmers are not that athletic outside of swimming.
Really? They're beasts in the water.
You know Katie Ledecky?
Uh-huh.
She set the world record. Apparently she's not an athlete outside of swimming. She's really good at swimming, obviously. She set the world record. And she, outside of swimming, she's not a great athlete. She doesn't run fast. She's not that strong.
Or the gymnast, Simone Biles, who's is shown to be one of the top gymnasts in the world so far in these Olympics. I've heard some interviews with her. She's just a normal teenager, you know. She's good at gymnastics.
Yeah, well, she's so little. It would be so funny to see her in another sport because I think, isn't she like 4'8"?
Yeah, she's really small. I mean, she's probably already short to begin with, but in gymnastics, all that pounding makes you shorter.
Interesting. Yeah, she's amazing. We've seen some incredible athletes perform so far at the Olympics. I've been very impressed. And you know, again, I'm someone who typically only watches tennis. So for me to watch the swimming, to watch the gymnastics, to watch the beach volleyball, I love the beach volleyball. I think those athletes are unbelievable. They're so fit. And the track and field athletes, I can't wait for that to start. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, it definitely will be.
So we're coming down to the last few minutes of the show, and I'm just curious, is there anything else that you guys would like to share with the Parenting Aces audience? And keeping in mind that most of our listeners are parents of junior tennis players or coaches of junior tennis players, is there a message that you'd like to send out to them and, something that you'd like to leave them with.
Homeschooling is good.
It's never too early to start an interest in sports. Never too late, also, for that matter. If your kid is 3 or 4 years old, they can already start with soccer. Tennis is so there are several sports that even for kids at that age they can play and get a good head start.
Well, boys, I really appreciate you coming on the show. I really have loved talking with you, and I want to encourage my listeners to go on YouTube and search for Arguably Georgia Sports, and we'll have a link to it on our links page on ParentingAces.com so that you can check out Cannon and Kai's show and keep tabs on the upcoming sports season here in the Southeast. And who knows, maybe these boys will be on TV at some point doing live broadcasting from the Olympics and the Super Bowl and the U.S. Open. That would be really amazing.
All right. Thank you for having us on the show.
Mm-hmm. Thanks so much.
Thank you, and good luck to you both. And I look forward to listening to your next episode.
Great.
To my listeners, thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope you've enjoyed the show with Cannon, Gilbert, and Kai Millette. These boys are living a dream. They are pursuing something that brings them a lot of joy, and it comes through loud and clear in their podcast. So I hope you'll check those out. And, again, just a reminder to get your juniors signed up for the Saul Schwartz State College Tennis All-In Tournament. The link is on our Facebook page as well as on the sidebar of ParentingAces.com. So get those entries in and beat the deadline. That is it for our show this week. I look forward to next week and hope you all have a good week out on the courts. That's it from Parenting Aces.
Pull. Whether you're new on the range or a longtime sportsman, you'll find great deals on guns, ammo, equipment, and more this week at Cabela's. Save big on all your favorite brands like Winchester, Benelli, Hornaday, and more. Get 20% off all Walker's hearing protection and $400 off of Cabela's Signature 64 safe. Plus, join us for free safety education, training, demos, and seminars because responsible ownership starts at Cabela's. Stop in and save all week at Cabela's, and remember to own responsibly. Pull. Whether you're new on the range or a longtime sportsman, you'll find great deals on guns, ammo, equipment, and more this week at Cabela's. Save big on all your favorite brands like Winchester, Benelli, Hornaday, and more. Get 20% off all Walker's hearing protection and $400 off of Cabela's Signature 64 safe. Plus, join us for free safety education, training, demos, and seminars because responsible ownership starts at Cabela's. Stop in and save all week at Cabela's, and remember to own responsibly.